11 Real-life Forrest Gumps, ordinary people who stumbled into history. My mama always said, life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. This chocolate box metaphor captures life's unpredictability, but some people seem to get particularly fascinating assortments. Just like Forrest Gump, who stumbled through significant moments in American history with an accidental ease, there are real-life individuals who have similarly found themselves part of historic events. Forrest Gump, as played by Tom Hanks, embodied the trope of the ordinary person accidentally making history, even though he was a fictional character in a beloved film. However, there are several real-life Forrest Gumps who, through sheer coincidence and luck, found themselves part of some of history's biggest events. While some of these individuals shared Forrest's simplicity, others are counted among the greatest figures in history. What they all have in common is their entry into the history books through happenstance and serendipity. Timothy Dexter. Timothy Dexter is the historical figure who best embodies Forrest Gump's idiot savant narrative. Dexter was a self-made success, consistently making nonsensical decisions that invariably resulted in financial windfalls due to factors beyond his control. After marrying into wealth, he attempted to increase his fortune by purchasing large quantities of the now worthless continental currency, abandoned after the American Revolution. This seemingly foolish plan paid off when it was later decided that the currency could be exchanged for 1% of its original value, leading to a substantial and unexpected profit for Dexter. Many of his ventures followed this pattern. In one instance, some tricksters persuaded him to buy and send bed-warming pans to the sweltering Caribbean, where they would presumably be useless. However, the warming pans were repurposed as sugar and molasses ladles and sold rapidly. Such was the life of Timothy Dexter, marked by a series of fortuitous outcomes despite his seemingly irrational choices. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. Surviving one of the 2 nuclear bombings in history is a stroke of good luck, but living through both of them is extraordinary. Tsutomu Yamaguchi's story brings the notion of luck into question. On one hand, it's undeniably fortunate to survive 2 nuclear attacks. On the other hand, it's incredibly unfortunate to be present in both targeted cities during the only 2 uses of such deadly weapons. Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima when the first bomb struck, surviving by leaping into a ditch. He returned to his family in Nagasaki, likely thinking he had experienced the worst day of his life. Despite feeling ill, he still went to work the next day. His life was saved from the second bomb by the reinforced stairwell in his office. Thankfully, his family survived as well, and Yamaguchi went on to live to the age of 93. Francisco de Miranda. The 18th century was a prime era for revolutionaries, with transformative campaigns unfolding across multiple continents, offering numerous individuals the chance to earn a place in their country's heroic narratives. Francisco de Miranda was one such figure who, through sheer circumstance, played significant roles in 3 major revolutions. He fought for the revolutionaries in both the American and French revolutions before leveraging his experience to significantly impact the Venezuelan War of Independence under Simón Bolívar. Eventually, he became the dictator of Venezuela, although he was later ousted. In addition to his military exploits, Miranda was a prolific writer, documenting his experiences in a 63-volume journal. Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash might just be the most interesting person to ever live, thanks in part to sheer luck, but also to his own natural charisma. His tragic childhood, marked by witnessing and burying his brother after a fatal accident, and starting to smoke at a young age, contributed to his complex persona. Life's quirks included having Roy Orbison as a neighbor and having his future wife, June Carter, write a song about her desire for him, which she then sold to him. One of the most dramatic incidents was the massive forest fire he started in a California national forest by carelessly flicking a cigarette, which destroyed a significant portion of the endangered California condor's habitat. Few musical legends can claim to have nearly driven a species to extinction, reported the death of Joseph Stalin, or received a poem from Muhammad Ali. Lynn Buck Compton. Lynn Buck Compton's career is nothing short of remarkable. He began as a star football player at UCLA, where he also played baseball alongside Jackie Robinson. Seeking more excitement, Buck enlisted in the military during World War II and parachuted into France on D-Day. His wartime exploits were famously depicted in HBO's Band of Brothers. After the war, Compton transitioned to a legal career, ultimately serving as a prosecutor in the trial for the murder of Robert Kennedy. Forget Kevin Bacon, everyone should be playing 6 Degrees of Buck Compton. George Robert Twelves Hughes. George Robert Twelves Hughes led a life as intriguing as his name. He had a knack for being present at pivotal moments in American history, and eventually, he played an active role in shaping it. Hughes witnessed the Boston Massacre and was injured in the chaos. He inadvertently triggered the famous tar and feathering of John Malcolm by intervening when Malcolm was caning a boy. Hughes further cemented his place in history by leading a boat during the Boston Tea Party to dump tea into the harbor. He fought in the Revolutionary War and enjoyed his military service so much that he attempted to enlist in the War of 1812 at the age of 70. Theodore Roosevelt. While Teddy Roosevelt is often celebrated as one of the most formidable figures in history, he shares some surprising similarities with Forrest Gump. Both men had remarkably diverse achievements. Roosevelt was a war hero, president, and Nobel Prize winner. Like Gump, Roosevelt overcame significant health challenges as a child, with his ailments nearly claiming his life. Even in his youth, Roosevelt found himself in the midst of historical events, such as having a front-row seat at Abraham Lincoln's funeral procession. Additionally, Roosevelt's name inspired a cultural icon, the teddy bear, much like Gump's fictional creation of the smiley face. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford may not be considered a historical figure, but he has certainly played pivotal roles in some of history's most iconic film franchises. What's more, he landed these prominent roles with little more than luck and his skills in carpentry. Ford initially had only a passing interest in acting, earning his living by installing kitchens and similar work. It was during a carpentry job for a man named George Lucas that Ford's path changed. Lucas suggested Ford audition for his upcoming film, American Graffiti. This opportunity led to Lucas considering Ford for a role in Star Wars, which catapulted Ford to fame. In the meantime, Ford also caught the eye of Francis Ford Coppola while enlarging his office, resulting in Ford's appearance in the Oscar-nominated film, The Conversation. Nicholas Lawson. Nicholas Lawson is perhaps one of the most influential historical figures that many have never heard of. Born in Norway, he eventually settled in England and embarked on a remarkable maritime career. Serving the British across the globe, Lawson experienced capture by pirates before settling in Canada. His adventurous spirit then took him to Valparaiso and later to the remote Galapagos Islands. During his time on the Galapagos, Lawson formed a close friendship with the governor of the newly annexed region. This connection proved pivotal when Charles Darwin and the HMS Beagle visited the islands. Lawson astutely observed the differences in tortoises on each island, prompting Darwin's investigation into evolutionary theory. This pivotal observation played a significant role in shaping scientific understanding, forever changing how we perceive evolution. Wilmer McLean. Sometimes, being a part of history boils down to one thing: location. This was certainly true for Wilmer McLean, whose home played a pivotal role in both starting and ending the American Civil War. In 1861, as war erupted in Virginia, the conflict's first skirmishes occurred near McLean's residence, causing damage to his property. Seeking refuge from the turmoil, McLean and his family relocated 120 miles across Virginia. Remarkably, McLean's new home would become an even more significant historical site. By sheer coincidence, it was chosen as the location where General Robert E. Lee would ultimately surrender, marking the end of the Civil War. Thus, Wilmer McLean found himself unwittingly connected to two of the most pivotal moments in American history, simply due to the places he called home.